بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم The first verse I want to recite is from chapter 3, verse 41 or 42. وَإِذَا قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ واصطفاك على نساء العالمين. And when the angel said, O Mary, surely Allah has chosen you and purified you and chosen you above women of the world. The next one is chapter 7, verse 31. Ya bani Adam khuzu zinatakum inda kulli مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. O children of Adam, attend to your purity at every time of prayer, and eat and drink and be not prodigal. Surely he loves not the prodigal. Be not extravagant, because God does not love extravagance. Next one is chapter 79, verse 18. فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّىٰ. And say, who will purify yourself? And then last one is chapter 92, verse 18. الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى. Who purifies himself by sacrificing, by giving away his wealth. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to pray to Allah to purify him. That doesn't mean that he hadn't been purified. It meant that he was a human and he kept seeking Allah's protection, just in case. And he used to pray to Allah and say, purify me just as washing a white cloth purifies it from all dirt. And he constantly prayed for Allah's protection in doing this, so that he remained pure. You see, what happens is that sins blacken your heart, just like dirt blackens a white cloth. And just like the white cloth has to be cleaned and washed and so on to return it to its purity, the same thing happens to the heart or the soul. And if you want to attain paradise, that is an essential condition, that you should be pure. There was a companion of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who did not pray more than others. He did not pray for longer than others. He did not fast more than others. He didn't do any of these things. But he was pure. His heart was pure. He never cheated. He was never jealous of other people, and so on. He did not backbite. And it is for these characters that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam promised him paradise. But what do we see when we go to the mosques and so on? How do we see people interpret purity, pakizgi, safai? We see people take it sort of literally. And just before prayer time, people go to the mosque and they open the tap full. wasting water because they want to thoroughly wash before going into prayer. There is a hadith somewhere that you should wash so thoroughly that not a hair should remain dry. So they concentrate on that. But forget that waste, as the verse I recited earlier on. O children of Adam, attend to your purity at every time of prayer, and eat and drink, but be not extravagant. Allah does not love extravagance. And this is what they're doing. They're being extravagant. They're wasting water. And that is a sin. That is an impurity in itself. The Holy Prophet Muhammad said that even if you're performing the wudu by the shores of Euphrates, you should be mindful that you don't waste water and consider that you only have a handful of water with which to perform the wudu. People remember the other hadith, not a hair should remain dry on your body when you perform wudu. But they don't remember this one, which says if you're performing wudu and it's on the shores of Euphrates, don't waste water. Consider as if you only have a handful of water. Because the problem is that we concentrate on physical and we ignore spiritual cleanliness. See, God says, angels say to Mary, surely Allah has chosen you and purified you. What did that mean? That she was bathed in an ocean of water or river of water and so on? No. Her soul, her inner self, that was purified. Temptations of the world, lying and cheating and backbiting and so on, she was cleaned of those things. And this is the example that we have to follow. We rush from our business of work where we've been lying, we've been cheating, maybe even taking bribes to do what the government or the business pay us to do. We splash a little or a lot of water on our faces and so on. And we think we're clean. Well, physically, we may be clean, but that is not the cleanliness that Islam wants. When we physically wash our hands, we should consider whether we committed any sin with them. When we wash our heads, we should consider whether we had any evil thoughts. And the same thing applies to our mouths. Did we utter something sinful? And our ears, did we hear anything sinful? Did we join a conversation where backbiting was taking place, where lying was taking place? And it applies to all organs that we are supposed to wash. Our tongues, did we utter something that was untrue or sinful, etc.? And then after washing, we go in and we stand in prayer. And we say to God, we have purified ourselves physically and spiritually. Remember this, and spiritually. We have cleaned ourselves outwardly and inwardly. We've cleaned our thoughts, we've cleaned our hearts. So that sinful ideas and thoughts won't come into our thoughts. And then we stand in prayer to account for the things, for the sins that we might have done. And we promise that we won't do it again up till the time of the next prayer. We put on clean clothes. Has it ever occurred to you why Islam lays so much emphasis on your physical cleanliness? Especially for Friday, but for every prayer, you're supposed to wash yourself and put on clean clothes, but particularly on Fridays and on Eid days and so on. The reason is that we take trouble, we take time to cleanse our body and our souls, that we present to other people a model Muslim. Islam does not differentiate between the physical and the spiritual. It doesn't say, okay, you don't lie and cheat and so on and so forth, but you're smelly and you're dirty and so on, and you can go and stand in physical prayer. Islam emphasizes cleanliness. Cleanliness at all levels. Physical outward cleanliness and inward cleanliness. This is why one way of cleaning your soul is told in chapter 92, verse 18, who gives his wealth, purifying himself. And this is not ill-gotten gains. This is not bribes or robbing of a bank, but your hard-earned wealth. But you give it away to purify yourself. How hard it must be for someone who's worked 40, 60 hours a week to earn a living, then to give some of it away to other people who are in need. And that cleans us, that cleans our souls, that cleans our hearts, that cleans our minds. It builds in our hearts and minds empathy for other people who are less fortunate in that they may have less physical possessions. But it also means that it cleans away, it washes away greed from our hearts. It's mine. I earned it. I deserve it. I'm going to keep it. It cleans all of that from our hearts. And as I said, we take the trouble to make sure that both physically, outwardly, and spiritually, inwardly, we purify and clean ourselves. What happens around this time every year? Most people are called by the doctor to come in and get a booster injection for flu, for COVID, and so on. Because they say virus has mutated and you need extra protection. You need more protection. The prayer is the same. But you don't wait for a year. After the morning prayer, you have the midday prayer. And that is like your booster injection. It is strengthening your soul against temptation. Any sins that you might have done, any wrong that you might have done, instantly, you're supposed to recognize that instantly and rectify it instantly. You know, it's just like your doctor, isn't it? The doctor says, as soon as you're ill, go to your pharmacist, make an appointment with your GP, take some medication. Don't let your illness get worse. And it is the same with your soul. It is the same with sins. Unless you address the wrong you've done immediately, you're going to become used to it. You tell a little lie and you do nothing about it, then what happens? The next lie, which is bigger than the first one, doesn't seem so bad. And the third one, which is bigger than the first two put together, doesn't seem so bad. Your soul has been infected by this virus, and you got used to it. This is why at each prayer, we're supposed to purify ourselves more and more and make ourselves stronger and stronger against the virus or the temptation or sin to do the wrong thing. People have these things. They say, oh, this is only a small lie, it doesn't matter. Or I only stole a bar of chocolate worth 50p from the shop. It wasn't the Kohinoor diamond. What's the fuss all about? The fuss is about doing the wrong thing. Stealing a bar of chocolate from a grocery shop is just as bad as stealing a diamond from a jeweler's. Value does not mean that one is a bigger sin and the other one is a smaller one. So, when we think about purity and cleanliness, when we think about prayers and so on, we should keep all of this in mind, that we are not only purifying ourselves physically, but we are also purifying ourselves spiritually. Because that is the whole purpose of prayer. And if you don't achieve that, do you think God really wants you to stand there and go up and down, and then say, Assalamu alaikum, and then go back to doing exactly what you were doing before you said your whatever prayer it is? He doesn't need that. You and I need it. And that is what we forget. That prayer is for our benefit, not for God's benefit. There are millions, billions who don't pray. Do you think God is bothered? It's like those people who refuse to be vaccinated against COVID. Do you think the authorities were bothered? Do you think the President of America was going to die, or the Prime Minister of England was going to die because the X or Y or Z or John or Peter didn't get vaccination against COVID? No, it's the person who didn't get vaccination who's going to die. So please, in your prayers, remember all of this. And in your prayers, remember the people in our own Jamaat, wherever they may be, who are ill or who have some other problem. People outside the Jamaat as well, who may be suffering for whatever reason. We know that the brave people of Palestine have been suffering for a whole year, and they haven't knuckled under. So pray to Allah that Allah may ease their suffering. And pray for their enemies as well, that Allah may give them the empathy, the sense to see that mankind, as the Holy Quran says, is one nation. No one is superior to another. These are cycles of time. And when you're strong and you can subjugate other people and terrorize them, you should remember that this used to happen to you, and it may happen to you again. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بالرؤوف الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تسمعون. Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانهر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayh. Minka salam wa minka salam. Tabarak rabbana wa ta'ala. Wa ta'ala. Thank you for joining us for today's Friday service, goodbye and praise and so on. Please pray for the whole humanity that Allah guides everyone to peace and love and tranquility and not murder and killing and genocide as we are seeing. And also that God may ease the pain and difficulties of all those who are sick or whose relatives are sick or they're facing some other problem. Regardless of who they are, whatever their religion, their caste, their creed, their nationality, their color. With that prayer, I take my leave of you until we meet next Friday. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.